Let's say China.
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 China. China.
There are next door neighbors, and you can actually see Russia from land here in Alaska.
You go over to China.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Trump's statement, tweeting out insults to Angela Merkel. What's he doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host.
Yes. Hello, and welcome. I'm James Andrews, and you are listening to So This Happened, the only news you need if your name is Francis and you've always hated it. It's Monday, the 13th of November 2017, and today, before we start anything else, I just want to say that we are going to be having some changes with So This Happened over the next few weeks, and instead of broadcasting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to switch to just Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a few weeks and see what people feel about that. And if you have any strong thoughts or weak thoughts, you can give me a shout out on Twitter or on Facebook, or just go to the homepage and send me a little message. Let me know. Anyway, I trust everybody had a fantastic weekend and you got up to lots of fun things and nothing illegal. Anyway, Joe Biden this weekend, when asked, said that he hasn't made his mind up yet whether he will launch a presidential bid in 2020. Now, in 2020, Joe Biden will be 169 years old, which is the oldest person that has ever run for president of the United States. But it does bring up a rather interesting point to my mind, and that is, where are the young Democrats, the sort of passionate, on-fire Democrats that really want to make a difference in the world? If Joe Biden is thinking about a 2020 run, he's an old man, and there's nothing wrong with old men, but there's a retirement age in this country of 65, and when you go beyond that, then you get doddering idiots like Donald Trump, who is the president right now, over 70. He should be just enjoying golf. Now, I know, for the most part, he does just spend his time as president enjoying golf, but he also does have quite a lot of responsibility and an enormous amount of power. And for somebody that should really be enjoying the autumn of their years down in Florida in the sun, well, it's just, I'm not the only person to say this, but maybe there should just be sort of an age limit on being the most powerful person in the world. And if asked what you smell like, the answer is depends, then you are probably not the right person for the job. And there is currently an awesome campaign out there on social media, and that is #me@14, and it's a number of people throwing up photographs of themselves at 14, raising awareness around the age of consent. We've got Roy Moore, who's accused of sexually assaulting or being inappropriate to a 14-year-old, and what this does, it just really reminds people that 14-year-olds are really tiny children. And for one, you will never see a photograph of me which reads #me@14, because I was, well, I think awkward looking is a very polite way of saying I was one of the ugliest creatures walking God's earth. So me at 14 is something you will never see, but kudos to those who are putting it up there. And speaking of Roy Moore, it does really seem that his days are numbered now. Today, the US Senate Republican leader, Mitch McConnell, came out and he said that Roy Moore should step aside amid claims he abused a 14-year-old girl. Now, this is the first time we've seen a higher-up Republican saying, you just need to step aside right now because of these accusations. Everybody else has been sort of going, well, if they're true, you should probably step aside, but, you know, innocent until proven guilty. But Mitch McConnell went as far as to say that he believed the woman who was accusing the Alabama nutjob. There are also reports that this week there are going to be more women forthcoming with accusations of abuse when they were under the age of 16. So it would seem that Roy Moore's day is over. However, he did shoot back on Twitter. He wrote, "The person who should step aside is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He has failed conservatives and must be replaced. Hashtag drain the swamp." And to that, I can only say, me doth think the lady protest too much, which I realise isn't the actual quote from Shakespeare, although most of you listening don't realise that. And Roy Moore is not alone in this allegations. Today, a woman now, came out and said that George Bush Sr. groped her when she was 16 years old during a 2003 photo op. Now, if you look at the photo, there's George H.W. in the middle. This girl's mum is on his left-hand side, and she is on her right side. And she claims that he dropped his hands down to my buttocks and gave it a nice, ripe squeeze. And that her reaction in the photograph is one of surprise, and that is why her mouth is opening, not that she's smiling. Now, George Sr. was 79 years old when this allegedly occurred, so I think we can safely say, you dirty old man. And just so I'm not picking on Republicans solely, George Takei has also been accused of sexually assaulting a chap a few years ago, and I really hope that one isn't true, because I really do love George Takei, but, well, you know, it was the 80s, so you never know what happened. And I will just throw my words of caution out there once again. I know I did this last week when we were talking about these, but I do just want to say it again. With all these allegations of sexual abuse and sexual misconduct coming to light right now, we need to be very careful to make sure we're separating what is absolute fact from things that maybe are just made up because somebody wants their 15 minutes in the spotlight. Now, I would be the first person to always believe someone when they say they've been sexually assaulted by someone. I think that is the right thing to do, but I think once we've listened to their story and sort of dug into it a little bit, we need to sort of discern whether or not they're telling the absolute truth or whether they're sort of embellishing a little bit. Maybe it was a little bit of a flirt in a bar, which now they say, well, that person's famous now, so yeah, you know, they were coming on to me a little bit in the bar, and I felt uncomfortable. I felt sexually abused, and I'm not saying that they're all that way, and I'm sure most of the allegations that are coming out are in fact true, but I think some of them probably are sort of that, where it's a bit of a flirting in a bar situation, and they say, well, they're famous now, so I'll just say, yeah, I was a bit uncomfortable with that. So we do just have to be a little bit careful here. And moving on from that, let's talk about Donald Trump. This weekend, Donald Trump made a few choice statements about Vladimir Putin and the people who said he had interfered with the 2016 election. It appears that Donald Trump is much more likely to believe Vladimir Putin than any of the actual intelligence community. When asked why he didn't believe the intelligence community, he answered, I mean, give me a break. They're political hacks. You have Brennan, you have Clapper, and you have Comey. Comey's proven now to be a liar, and he's proven to be a leaker. So you look at that. And then you have President Putin very strongly, vehemently says he has nothing to do with that. So there you have the President of the United States siding with the President of Russia over his own intelligence community. And if that wasn't strange enough, he was in Vietnam yesterday and he was asked whether he really believed that Vladimir Putin did not interfere with the 2016 elections, and he gave the strangest answer he may ever have given. Have a listen to this.
What I said there, I'm surprised that there's any conflict on this. What I said there is that I believe he believes that, and that's very important for somebody to believe. I believe that he feels that he and Russia did not meddle in the election. As to whether I believe it or not, I'm with our agencies, especially as currently constituted with their leadership. I believe in our intel agencies, our intelligence agencies. I've worked with them very strongly. There weren't 17, as was previously reported. There were actually 4. but they were saying there were 17. There were actually 4. But as currently led by fine people, I believe very much in our intelligence agencies. Now, at the same time, I want to be able, because I think it's very important, to get along with Russia, to get along with China, to get along with Vietnam, to get along with lots of countries, because we have a lot of things we have to solve. And frankly, Russia and China in particular can help us with the North Korea problem, which is one of our truly great problems. So I'm not looking to stand and start arguing with somebody when there's reporters all around and cameras recording and seeing our conversation. I think it was very obvious to everybody. I believe that President Putin really feels, and he feels strongly, that he did not meddle in our election. What he believes is what he believes. What I believe is that we have to get to work, and I think everybody understood this that heard the answer. We have to get to work to solve Syria, to solve North Korea, to solve Ukraine, to solve terrorism. And, you know, people don't realize Russia's been very, very heavily sanctioned. They were sanctioned at a very high level, and that took place very recently. It's now time to get back to healing a world that is shattered and broken. Those are very important things. And I feel that having Russia in a friendly posture as opposed to always fighting with them is an asset to the world and an asset to our country, not a liability. And by the way, Hillary Clinton had the reset button. She wanted to get back together with Russia. She even spelled reset wrong. That's how it started, and then it got worse. President Obama wanted to get along with Russia, but the chemistry wasn't there. Getting along with other nations is a good thing, not a bad thing. Believe me, it's a good thing, not a bad thing.
It's amazing, isn't it? He literally just strung together a bunch of words and spat them out. What he said there literally made no sense. The beginning part, it was just words that he sort of were putting together with sort of an and in between, and then pronouncing country names really strange. It's one of those definitive sort of shake your head moments when you look at it and go, wow, that is really the man that the American people elected to be their president. But so far in Trump's Asia trip, one of the strangest moments came yesterday in the Philippines, where he said of Rodrigo Duterte, the Philippine president, that they have a great relationship and they've really warmed to each other. Well, this is somewhat strange, coming from a man who is accused by human rights groups of systematically killing 1,400 people by death squads between 1998 and May of 2016. By all accounts, he's not the nicest man on the planet. He has confirmed and also denied his involvement in these death squads. So in some ways, the confirming and then denying is something that I believe Donald Trump would relate to quite nicely. But perhaps his greatest feat of torture came when he decided to serenade Donald Trump. And, well, I apologize for what you are about to hear. Here is the President of the Philippines serenading the President of the United States. Yeah, okay. Awful. I told you, I apologize for playing that, but it was something you just had to hear. Now, Rodrigo has said that the Philippines are the ally of the United States, and some have even dubbed him the Trump of the East for his brash style and provocative language. And he said last week that if the US president were to bring up human rights violations, he would tell the president to lay off. Well, he didn't have to do that because Donald Trump did not bring up human rights violations. Why would he? Anyway, we are out of time for the day. It's been a great conversation, as always. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and If you would like to continue the conversation, we can do so on Twitter at So This Happened, or Facebook. If you want to head over to our webpage, that's sothishappenshow.com, and on there you can listen to past episodes of the show, send us a nice little message if you want, or just sort of mess around. Anyway, we'll chat again on Wednesday, so have a great evening and have a good Tuesday. Goodbye.